Do I do the call to order or the
Yes.
roll call? Roll call. Daniel Krim present. Jen?
Here.
Jen Hanks. Kevin Hayes.
Here.
All right. Estella Hollander. Kai Kelly.
I'm here.
Sam Meyer.
I'm here.
Valerie Pyatt.
Here.
I'll note for the record that, let's see, who all is here? Martin Entz, obviously. Also we have Kevin Hayes. Matt, good to see you. Michelle James.
Yeah, good to see you all.
Hello.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, announcements are next. Announcements. Do any of the members of the committee have any announcements?
I have a comment, which is related to what I said before the meeting officially started, which is that a citizen told me that they would like the repair stations put on either the online bikeways map or the Foots Trail map to just know if you get a flag or something out on the trails where you could go. And something else that I can't remember, maybe the location of public bike racks or bike racks along the trail, but it might not be that. So don't hold me to that one.
How about drinking fountains? Because we added
That'd be good.
that would be really simple.
Yeah,
There's
drinking.
already on there.
That'd be good too.
Or water sources.
Water's really nice. Yeah, yeah.
I have a comment related to, our past discussions of bike parking. Just having taken the Amtrak to LA a few weeks ago. It's like an overnight trip to get there, and same on the way back, except you get in at like 3 a.m. And I can't really think of a better place for like bike lockers than either like the Amtrak or the new transit center downtown, because no one really wanted to pick me up at 3 a.m. and I didn't want to leave my bike out there. So just a thought.
I'll double check, but I think the new transit facility may have bike lockers. I'll double check.
Cool. That's awesome.
Val has her hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to relay, I guess I was hoping that Ryan Turley was going to be here today, or somebody from the police department, because I wanted to relay something a coworker told me, that she had an incident biking near campus the other day, and someone threw like a full soda can at her, and she had her son on her bike with her, and she tried to file a police report. They didn't end up doing anything, but she definitely noticed when she told the officer that she was on an e-bike versus a manual bike. She noticed like a noticeable change in the officer's tone, that she perceived as going from like a victim to being at fault in this scenario. So perhaps there's an education opportunity with the Flag PD about, e-bikes as commuters. This is not the same thing as motorcycles zipping around and getting in the way. I mean, these are, just a tool that we're going to see a lot more. So we can't treat people on e-bikes as aggressors when people are throwing soda cans at them. That's all.
Awful.
Yeah, awful. And her like 4-year-old was with her on the bike. Yeah. Terrible.
I've got a couple things. One is a YouTube video that I found. It's called "So You Got Hit by a Car. Here's the part nobody talks about." So you got hit by a car. Here's the part nobody talks about. It's a 13-minute video on YouTube that is full of great information about what to do, which is like, we're hoping nobody gets hit by a car. That's why we're all here, right? But it's a great information for people who commute by bike.
Why don't you forward that link to me? I'll send it out to the group.
Perfect.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'd love to read that or watch that.
It's a YouTube video, no reading involved, even better.
That's even better for me, yeah.
And then the number two thing is, I'll piggyback on what Val has going on. I was riding my bike home downtown, down Birch, towards Humphreys. And I had a small white Kia blaring his music, come speeding by me, didn't get into the other lane. I was in the lane with the Shero, and he certainly did give me 3 feet and just blew past me. I'm like, well, that's messed up. But I was just gonna let it go. I'm still riding my bike. I'm still off work, so I'm like, in a good mood, whatever. But then he runs the red light at Beaver. And then he runs up on the bike who's waiting at Humphreys. And then I see him speed through the neighborhood past Wheeler Park and almost get it into an accident at Park right there at Birch and Park. And then the last thing I see before he dips over the hill is his blinker. He's turning left, and that's where I'm going too. So I kind of rode past there and I see his car in an apartment complex. So I rode by, the door to the guy's apartment was open and he had backed into his spot. I was gonna get his license plate, but in order for me to get his license plate, I'd basically have to stand in his doorway and he would have certainly have killed me. So I didn't do that, but I did call the non-emergency line of FPD and reported it. And they sent me a series of text messages that said that they had gone and talked to him and that it's not a full police report or anything, but there's an incident report on it. So I'm gonna request that and see what happened, and I'll report back next week, but yeah. I'm interested to see what happened, but according to the text message I got, they went and talked to the guy.
So what you're saying is I should get a GoPro for my helmet, like I've been debating doing.
That's what this YouTube video guy, that's what he said to do. He said that there are 360 cameras that allow you to record every one of your rides, and it self deletes after 24 hours, which is nice because most of your rides are hopefully uneventful and just kind of boring, but like every once in a while, I think it'd be cool just because you see cool stuff when you ride your bike.
Yeah.
Like not even people trying to kill you, but like, just more like, hey, look, there's like a crazy scene on the sidewalk. That'll be cool to watch later. That's what I got. Now, members of the public. Would anybody like to be heard?
Yeah, I got something I'd like to mention. Hey, so since I'm no longer on the bicycle committee, I went and bought a full suspension bike with a motor on it. And since I'm driving from the perspective of like almost a motorist, I've noticed now I'm a green box and green paint pro person, but as a motorcyclist, I was just curious if we are tracking any kind of motorcycle accidents that might have been contributed to extra paint on the asphalt. But I'm still like pro green paint on the roadway. I don't want to support something that might be causing accidents in another area, because motorcyclists typically, when they get on the white paint, tend to, when light rain or anything hits the road, it kind of gets real slippery for them. So I'd be curious to know if the city's tracking anything like that related to the green paint we're trying to keep adding to the asphalt. And that's all I have. Thanks.
And at those, that paint typically has, abrasive material in it, like sand or reflective pebbles to help keep it from being too slippery.
Oh, that's good to know.
Matt, are you on the motorcycle advisory committee now?
No, I'm just a citizen out here trying to get through traffic the best as I can, most efficiently.
Love it. Guess we'll jump into the approval of the minutes. Anybody else have a chance to look over the minutes?
I just sent them out earlier this
Yeah.
afternoon, so if you haven't had a chance to look at them, and you want to hold it over the next time, that's a fair result as well.
This is Kevin. I did have a chance to look them over. I think they look great. I'd like to propose accepting the minutes.
That sounds like a motion to me.
You need a second? I'll second
I'll
it.
second. I read them.
Perfect, Valerie did it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All in favor, say nay. The ayes have it. New business, none. Old business.
Pardon, would you mind switching the screens? Great. Good to dive in, Daniel?
Go for it. I'm
Fantastic.
excited.
All right, so for the first item of old business, we have capital projects update. We will provide an update and review of various large capital projects that include a significant head or bike facility component. And I'm happy to make this more of a discussion as we go along, please. So first one that we'll talk about is the Lone Tree Overpass. I'm sure this has plenty of buzz around it. Some highlights are available on the slide. Budget of $105 million. Construction to begin, I believe, later this year. Utility adjustments, and also the portion of Lone Tree from that's south of Butler Avenue, I believe, is where construction is going to begin. The project will ultimately build a motor vehicle and pedestrian and cyclist overpass over the BNSF Railroad, over Route 60, over the BNSF Railroad and connect to Route 66 from the northern terminus of Lone Tree Road. It is poised to include separated bike lanes on both sides and a foot trail along the west side. We have some more images to kind of dive a little bit deeper into this to come. It also includes a protected intersection at Butler and Lone Tree, which will be part of a chain of protected intersections combined with another project that we'll get into later on. And it also has, we are currently pursuing connections at the north and south end. The south end would connect to campus and the north end to the future Schweitzer Canyon Foot Trail. So here's our cross sections for what you can expect to see. The upper one is on the overpass itself, and the lower option is what will be in place south of Butler Avenue. So you can see you have, separated ped bike facilities. There's a physical barrier between motor vehicle traffic as you cross the overpass as well. So, pretty solid design. And yeah, similar in the lower one as well, just a bit more space to work with. Here's our third image of the project, and this just kind of shows how the Lone Tree Overpass will interact with existing and planned foots trails throughout the area.
How does it work right here? How does the Futz Trail work right here? Like, say you wanted to go north on that Futz Trail. And you were coming, or I guess that would be, I'm sorry, west. If you're coming north and you want to go west on the Futz Trail, that's on the east side of 66 there.
So I think that orange line reflects the current Route 66 foots. And when the overpass is built, it will be realigned a little bit further south, like toward the railroad tracks. And when it gets to the Lone Tree, it will have an alignment that is basically under the start of the bridge for Lone Tree.
Okay, so you'd go like here.
Not quite that far. Further out, like still on the north side of the tracks. Yeah. So you're going a little bit further away from 66 and going down a little bit, and then the bridge will go over the top of the track. And it's difficult to see. It actually is going to be longer than that, but there's a button hook connection. So if you wanted to go from the 66 path over to the Lone Tree path, you can make that connection, if that makes sense. So the 66 trail is going under Lone Tree, but the button hook will bring you back up to the top, so you can make a connection between the two. Then you can see, I wonder if I request control.
Lost control.
Whatever
You have control, let's see.
whatever little we had.
There you go. Okay, so here comes Martin. He's riding down Lone Tree. He's approaching 66.
Yeah, and you're on the west side of the road, so when you get to the north end of 66, you can take that button hook and then go either left or right, west or east on the Route 66 trail. And that if you're on the Route 66 trail, you don't have to cross Lone Tree because you're going under it. Hopefully it will be more open than a typical underpass because there'll be the abutment on one side of it, on the north side of the trail, but the south side will be open. Like there'll be vistas all the way out. There's nothing containing, it's not like a tunnel. You're going under a bridge, basically, like similar to 4th Street, if you're familiar with, if you've ever gone on the Foots Trail under 4th Street.
Okay.
And then these are connections that would be built as part. So by the time the Lone Tree overpass gets down to here, it's more or less back at grade. And so there's a connection that will go back over to the neighborhood and Cottage. I believe that's Cottage, right? Phoenix Cottage, Bennett. Yes, yeah. So to think about that. And then it's hard to see here again, but there's kind of a little section of trail that will be down below the embankment for the bridge that will follow along, take you under the bridge and out on, I don't know the name of that street. It's not Colorado. It's one of those industrial streets. Yeah. So you can get out to Butler if you wanted to. So those are two connections, really one connection that goes off in two different directions from the bridge itself. And then what Chris was referring to, this is the Schweitzer Canyon foots. And if we follow that around, it goes up through the roundabout at Turquoise and Schweitzer Canyon. And then the existing trail goes all the way up to Buffalo Park. This end of it comes out at Terrace which if you take Terrace, will take you into downtown. Terrace is kind of a funky little residential street that no one knows about, but it directly connects to downtown. Awesome. Via Birch. And it's not planned as part of the overpass, but we're considering it and kind of doing concept plans for it to connect from the trail that ends at 66, across 66, and then up to the trail that will be built. The one catch is that there's about a 20-foot grade difference. So the Route 66 is 20 feet lower than the Sinclair, the Schweitzer Canyon foots. So we're studying, it's going to be like a couple of switchbacks really in the back of those buildings. That's the only way to do it, to get you up. But if you look at this on a map and we're unaware of that grade, you would say these trails need to connect. So we're trying to make that happen, regardless of the grade. Because you can think about it, this becomes kind of a continuous route from Buffalo Park all the way down. It's connected.
This part right here, the part of Lone Tree that goes by that school where the bike lane suddenly disappears,
That's further south.
that's further south still.
That's gonna be a subsequent, phase of Lone Tree.
Yeah, thank you.
Over the next couple of years.
Okay,
So when that happens, the bike lane disappearing will be resolved.
got it.
The bike lane will reappear.
This is still close to like the edge of campus. Is
Yeah,
that what this is? Yeah.
yeah, this curved street is O'Leary.
And I also have Google Earth like ready to roll at any point if we want to look at other areas too, so.
So the second part of that connection that Chris was talking about is from this part of the Lone Tree Trail over to campus. And right now on the street on campus is Mountain View. The street in the city is Hoskins. And if you look at them, they directly align. But if you were standing at the end of Hoskins and looking towards Mountain View, there's about a 15-foot retaining wall that would block your progress if you wanted to make that connection. However, we've looked at a way of going around that retaining wall through the cemetery and then making up the grade more gradually. So and then on Hoskins itself, you can see the little gap in the planned foots. Could be like a two-way cycle track, for example. Like we've kind of mapped it out and saw what room we have available to do that. And it looks like it would work. And so that gives you a connection onto campus from that Lone Tree connection. Now think about how the whole thing works. You've got the Route 66 trail, the future Schweitzer Canyon Trail, and this future Lone Tree Trail, all making that connection. So if you live to the east, for example, and you're coming east on Route 66, let's say you lived in Sunnyside or Smoke Rise or Fox Glen, like Matt and I live, you come down the Route 66 trail and get onto the Lone Tree Trail adjacent to that overpass and come down and you can access campus in a much more convenient way than is possible now, and all on foot trails.
Right, versus going to Beaver or something like that.
Right, versus going into downtown and
Right, yeah.
taking Beaver or something.
Or if you work at the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah, if you work at the hospital.
Yeah, you can be.
Here and then boom, right?
Yep. So only the, portion of that black line will be built as part of the Lone Tree overpass, and then we have to come in as a subsequent project and build those connections at either end. We're doing the concept planning for that, but they're not currently funded, but they are funded in out years of the capital plan. So if we'll do the concept plan, see if it all works like we think they can, and then move it into a project.
Does this road go through Cherry Hill? Is that what that road does?
It's all below Cherry Hill.
Okay, good.
That's a great way to get, if you're up there, which we have been, we've ridden this alignment, which was funny in its current state, but,
There's a trail there.
yeah. It's definitely, like, there's so much value, like, to be gained from making this connection, and if you are at the top of, like, the current end of this trail right here, it's such a smooth descent right into downtown. It like really just feels exactly right. you know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it hooks up with Birch. I did not know about that.
The only downside to Terrace is it's a perfectly fine street for biking on. It's very quiet. It's just, a handful of houses on it. There are no sidewalks. So we kind of, and when we use a street in lieu of a foot trail, we like for it to be either bike lanes or something comfortable for cyclists as well as sidewalks for pedestrians, so everybody can use it.
Great. Any other comments on this project before we move on?
You said starting construction end of this year? FY 24 is this year?
It was actually, now we're in FY 25, right? Technically, by city standards.
Okay.
So I think it was supposed to have begun this year, but there's one big holdup, and it's relocating, like a light industrial facility. Finding an adequate place to move them has been, kind of holding things up on this whole project. So, but I do believe that the first phase of construction is supposed to be from this, south of Butler to O'Leary. Does that sound right, Martin?
Yeah.
That's where they're going to begin?
And that section will have the separated bike lanes.
Yeah. And it's really ready for it. Like if you look at the right of way that's available through there, there's like a massive lane, like just swath of pavement. That's not really a lane for anything. I think, it's gonna be good. I'm excited about this one. I used to live on O'Leary and walk the Sinclair Wash to South Campus every day. Right, good to move on. Okay. Butler and Fourth Corridor improvements. So this project goes from around the I-40 interchange on Butler Avenue and extends east past its intersection with Fourth Street and it right up to the Sanawa Heights area. So it's a pretty substantial section of roadway that currently doesn't have good ped bike facilities. No ped facilities, really. This is budget of $16.4 million. Construction to be done between FY 24 and 26. It'll introduce separated bike lanes on the north and south sides of the street. It'll introduce 2 roundabouts, one at Harold Ranch Road, which is being designed with considerations to the truck traffic that comes out of the truck stops that are there. It seems like every truck is going to be that is on the south side of the road is going to be routed towards the to the right, and they're going to have to go around this Harold Ranch roundabout to get back to the interchange and get onto so it's a method of managing truck traffic better through that area, which has been a problem. It also includes and the other roundabout will be at Butler and Fourth. So there was a lot of consideration for, the design of this roundabout. It will have, I think there's discussion on RFBs at pretty much every crossing leg. So it should be pretty sound for peds and cyclists to get around. There's also a tunnel for the foot trail at Butler and Fourth is being considered as well.
This is the one we talked about, right, Martin? Kind of at length, the Butler Fourth roundabout?
Yes, I think we had a lengthy presentation and then we went through an exercise of picking different alternatives, ranking.
With the consultant from Burgess Knight.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
Probably last summer, maybe?
Yeah, around the fall.
Yes, this is that one.
That's up.
Was the plan changed based on the recommendations from the meeting?
There was some, you can correct me if I'm misremembering this, Daniel or Martin, but it's a big roundabout, multiple, how many lanes is it?
I believe that it's 2 by 2 by 1.5 by 1.5 or something like that. So it's a hybrid solution that is less than 2 full lanes in every direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I recall, there was some discussion about like, for example, islands in the middle for crossing. If you're a pedestrian, that it would be more useful for pedestrians to have a spot where they don't have to cross
Mhm.
potentially 4
Yes.
lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that might be on a bike, if you have to stop in the middle, that short distance, it's sort of less ideal. And if I recall, what we came to as the BAC was that we should do the thing that was adequate for bikes and safer for pedestrians, which was the islands. Is that
There-
a good summary?
Yeah. That is, and it was, even between the time that you reviewed it, the alternatives and when it went to council, the roundabout was revised to be smaller than it was when you saw it.
Right.
But still retaining the islands for crossing, so there's a pathway around the roundabout for cyclists, but like you sort of are taking the same pathway as pedestrians, so it won't be, it's not as direct as going through the middle of the roundabout if you took the lane as like a vehicle, for example. But hopefully it will be more comfortable. I think the prototype for it is the Mueller University, which has kind of the same features. In a lot of ways it's similar, like, you know, as a cyclist, you can ride through the roundabout, adjacent to the sidewalk on a bike lane. And while you have to go through those islands, it should be more comfortable than for a lot of cyclists in taking the lane. and going through.
Yeah, with all the trucks. And then you said RFBs, so rapid flashing beacons, because I remember that was another point of discussion, because I hate them. I mean, I like them more than others.
Yeah, and those are, rapid flashing beacons are now, not quite required, but close to being required by federal ADA.
No kidding.
Yeah. There's a couple options you can have design wise to facilitate disabled pedestrians getting through the intersection. Our RFPs are one of them.
And that system, have they accommodated for people who have vision problems, like who can't see color? Because that's one of the major problems with those Hawk systems, is that people who can't see color don't know what that blinking light is. If it was in a position, red, green, yellow, they would.
Yeah, this is just an amber flashing light, not a Hawk.
Not a Hawk system, okay.
Yeah. Which I guess is part of the issue. If you have a flashing light, you can't tell if it's red or if it's amber.
Right, or green or whatever, right?
But that's more on the driver's side. Like both of those flashing lights face the driver, not the pedestrian.
Yeah, it does. It just makes me nervous as a bike and a pedestrian crossing those when people don't follow them.
I think roundabouts are in Flagstaff. Over the last 10 years. It seems like 10 years ago, I think there were no roundabouts. And then in the last, how many will there be in 2027? How about that? There's a lot that are going in right now, right?
I count like 7 off the top of my head.
Does that include like the neighborhood traffic?
Yeah, the
ones
neighborhood
too?
traffic ones, those tiny ones that are like,
Yeah, those are generally considered different because it's just an island in the middle that you go around versus a modern roundabout has a specific kind of definition. You know, for bigger.
you wouldn't count those.
No, I wouldn't count those.
I don't think the drivers
I
count
can't think of
either.
I can't think of where they all are.
And I will say, I've changed my opinion on that roundabout at Schweitzer Canyon. I think that roundabout at Schweitzer Canyon is sufficient and works pretty well. At least for me, I've been driving it a lot on my bike until recently. And it works fairly well, I think.
Any other comments?
Is this the only slide for this?
Yes.
Okay. No.
I checked.
This is Kevin. I have one more comment, if you don't mind, just real quick. So that road that's going Butler up and it's ending at like Little America, is it going to go under I-40 and try to? I'm assuming it'll ultimately try to hook up with that trail that's like near the Dirty Birdies that kind of goes down and through. But I'm wondering, what is there a plan for that? Like, how is it going to end when it gets to I-40? You know what I mean?
So how is this like the project area going to end when it like near the, I guess it would be the western end of this project area? Is that what you're saying, Kevin?
Yeah, well, it goes up, right? Like you said, you're building those roundabouts for the trucks because they go into Little America and all of that stuff, which is
Yeah.
great. And I think it's going to be awesome. I really love the idea. But then when you get to the light, which is at I-40 and Butler, right? Then there's the bridge that goes under I-40. Are you guys handling that bridge? I don't think you're going to touch that road, right? And then on the other side, where like the Dirty Birdies is and Northern Pines and all of that stuff, that's not really bike accessible at all right now. Is that a part of this project, or would have to be a later phase, right?
Yeah, that area to the west of the I-40 interchange is not included in this project scope.
Okay, cool.
Kevin, there's a different project that is looking at adding bike lanes in that section,
Oh, cool.
which are non-existent now. There's a long-term plan to separate bike lanes in the portion of Butler that goes under I-40,
Yeah,
but that's very long-term.
gotcha. That's
Now,
great.
in the short term, there appears to be room on the road to strike bike lanes, which isn't the ideal solution for everyone, but it's better than not having bike lanes.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think it would improve what's there now because there are a lot of bikes that come there and pedestrians. And so it's a tough road to go under that I-40 because, you, like you said, you don't have a bike lane and you also don't really have the curb because there's usually people on the curb too. So.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Any other comments? Good to move on to the next. All right. Downtown Mile. This project has a budget of $117 million. Construction is expected to take place between FY 25 and 28. It's a collection of many different pedestrian cyclist network improvements. These include 2 underpasses of the BNSF. One is at the Florence and Walnut, which is, so Florence is this like La Plaza Vieja, oh, I can't look at that. Is this street, which goes through La Plaza Vieja, and then it would connect to Walnut on the north side of the tracks. So it would create a really nice, low traffic commuter connection for ped bikes. And then the second underpass is here closer to, downtown proper and the new downtown connection center. This goes beneath the BNSF railroad tracks as well. Also included and not really pictured here are enhancements along Milton Road that include separated bike lanes on both sides of the underpass. I would say, yeah, the project is kind of centered around this big railroad bridge improvement. It's going to add a third rail line on top of the bridge and also expand right of way beneath it. And this intersection is getting completely rebuilt as well. We have some more, pictures to represent some of these changes that will come as well. Additionally, there will be improvements, predominantly pedestrian improvements to the at-grade railroad crossings. I'm not sure, I don't have much information on what those are gonna look like. Do you, Martin?
Sorry, which ones?
The at-grade rail crossing improvements.
Yeah, I think it just kind of smooths out the
Really rough.
yeah.
Experience that you get now. It's rough on a bike, it's rough on everything. Were there any other safety improvements as far as pedestrians and the railway are considered?
Not here that I know of.
Okay, I'm thinking of somewhere else then. All right, yeah, let's take a look at some of the other images that we have for this. So here's your cross section of Milton Road as you would go underneath that, the new bridge. So you can see sizable parkways on both sides. This is where bridge support structure will exist. And then you have your separated bike lane and walkway. So sizable improvement over what is there now.
So what's there now is a stairwell with an adjacent wheelchair ramp, I guess. That's what all the bikes use, right?
Yeah.
So what, and that's on this side, right?
Yeah,
if
we were looking north, then yeah.
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 So is that stairwell and that wheelchair ramp, is that part of this? Because it's right there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might even be under the bridge. I'm not totally sure, but.
Goes under the bridge.
Yeah. I mean, the stairs come out just before you go under the bridge.
Just
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
okay.
just before. So the stairs will remain. The accessible ramp, which is used by bikes, as you mentioned, will come out, but it will be replaced. Can you go to the image of the intersection? I think it's the next one. Yeah, so this doesn't show, and this is, these plans are evolving, so some features of this may change, but we're trying to keep on top of it. So the stairs in this scenario will stay. The ramp will be removed as well as that slip lane for vehicles. Now that goes adjacent to I do.
Yeah.
Which has the highest proportion of rear end crashes in the Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
At that,
And I don't exaggerate.
I've done a case.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because people are coming down and, somebody's looking, way over their left shoulder to pull out into traffic, and they start to go a little bit, and the person behind them assumes that they're going, starts going and runs into the back of them. Yeah, it's very regular.
Well, so some people just roll straight through that stop sign,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah. So what that current ramp will be replaced by is there's this shows a sidewalk kind of on the south side of Santa Fe that curves around and then connects into Route 66. So that'll become a bikeway, essentially. And it won't follow the road so directly. It will follow more closely to, you can see in the image, the road underneath it, kind of more like that. I think it's intended to be a directional bikeway, but it may support two directions. The issue, of course, in this area for bikes is there are very few places to get across the tracks in this area. I mean, literally, it's Milton, Beaver, and San Francisco. And Milton Route 66 is very hard to get across. So people who are on that side of Milton will stay on that side of Milton and go up the sidewalk and then use the bike ramp. That's improved here because we have two tunnels on either side of it. But I imagine that people will still find it convenient to stay on that side of Milton and go up on a bike, even though you're technically going on the sidewalk or against traffic. In that case,
are these stoplights?
yes,
There's gonna be a light here now.
yes.
Wild. And it's just gonna take up all this grassy area, huh? I mean, not all of it, but a good portion of it's gone away.
I think the statue will, but it'll create a new grassy area in the other side or whatever, probably not grass.
Something else.
Not anymore.
I know they've done a lot of work to keep that up.
In this image, it looks like they don't water it that much.
So if you're a bike and you're coming down Santa Fe.
Yep.
You would just go to this.
Yep, and then
Come down here.
there's a separated bike lane for you. To Phoenix, when you get to Phoenix, it's gonna end, so you'll have to, you have to get into the shoulder, that pseudo bike lane on Milton. If you're coming north on that, at Phoenix, you can exit that and get into the separated bike lane and go all the way around. There's come constraints when you get to kind of around the curve to continue that. But I think that they're, at some point, you'll be able to exit and get over to a planned foot trail.
So there's no crossing here, but right here, there's a tunnel.
Yes.
So if you're on a bike and you're coming this way, you would cross this crosswalk and then come over here to this tunnel. I mean, if you wanted to get to this side of if you want to get to that transfer station.
I think we have to still work some of that out.
How you would get from this side over to this tunnel right here.
Valerie has her hand up.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put that up. Martin, what was the stat that you said something about the Western Hemisphere?
I won't repeat that exaggeration, but there's a lot of rear end crashes on that slip line. on
Okay.
66.
Yes, that it is I was like, wait, what? Okay. Thank you. It is, yeah, it is a sketchy intersection for sure.
I think it was 18 million.
Okay, that sounds right.
Give or take, plus or minus a million.
That's gonna be completely different.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that that's gonna be a traffic light now. But a traffic light that does not have like a crosswalk, right? You can't actually cross the street right there.
But there's the tunnel right next to it for bikes and pedestrians, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Down below.
So that means to the east.
Yes.
Yeah, the question is like, it's not, like Daniel brought up, there's not direct connections to get over from Santa Fe over
Right.
to that.
Yeah, you might have to, if you're a bicycle, come this way and then go this way and then go this way and then come back and then go through it to start with or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just still a lot easier than crossing Milton the way it is now.
In this case, like, remember when we looked at Lone Tree, there's a button hook between the Foots Trail on 66 and then the Foots Trail on Lone Tree, because they go over each
At two
other.
different
And I think we have the
levels,
same issue here, and we're trying to work out how that button hook works on the north side. So you could get from Route 66 street level down to the tunnel level.
So F-28, we should see that? Sorry? F-28 is the completion date for that? Let's see.
25 to 28.
Yeah, 25 to 28 for this slew of improvements is what's projected.
Any of them are slated first? Or
I'm not sure, Martin, is there a order of that these are gonna be introduced?
I don't know, yeah. I think generally all at once.
sure.
And what does this blue signify again?
That blue, that is the new, like train bridge,
So that's for pedestrians too?
not at the same grade as the trains. There won't be pedestrian facilities that parallel the BNSF there. That is just adding a
Okay.
third rail, expanding the right of way beneath the bridge, I guess the train overpass, yeah.
And they'll improve the clearance a little bit. So we have fewer of the issues with trucks going underneath and getting
Yeah.
stuck.
We're almost going underneath it and then stopping. Any other comments related to this? Okay. Oh, okay, so this is kind of related, not related to any one project. I mean, it's kind of related to the downtown mile improvements. But we just wanted to identify this section of our primary planned bike routes. This square that is in the middle of, like pretty much the heart of the city. And it has connections that go, the solid bike connections that go north, south, east, and west. This one is largely in place, as the Karen Cooper Trail. This one is largely in place, the Route 66 trail. And then the remaining connections, this would be the Milton or the Milton Bikeway, and this would be the Santa Fe Foots Trail extension. We'll get into more detail about the status of these as planned projects. But we wanted to highlight, what we're really going for as far as a primary bikeway that reaches each end of the city and, links up in the middle of town. Any other points on that, Martin?
The darker ones kind of highlight, there are four that kind of represent four cardinal directions, although Flagstaff is tilted, so
Confusing.
these are tilted as well, yeah. At least in this part of town, but yeah, so we're coming in from the east, the north, the west, and the south, and that square is how they kind of interact in the middle, so if you're transitioning from one to the other. And
It's a roundabout.
yeah, on a grand scale, yeah. And really, I mean, part of this is trying to overcome that issue that I talked about before of how few places are to get across the tracks downtown. So this helps make those connections. And on upper left is the Florence Walnut Underpass. Kind of the lower left would be a bridge over Milton. And the upper right would be the two underpasses under 66 and on the tracks. Yep, so that kind of helps you get over under some of the features that obstruct, that are difficult to get over or under at grade.
What's this one again? That side?
This is the Milton Road Ped Bike Bridge, and it was a part of a recent grant application for concept planning. But we'll talk about that in greater detail. But the Downtown Mile project that we just kind of dove into creates this and creates this. Yeah.
And this is online on the website or no?
I believe that it is in our ATMP interactive map. However, there might be an issue with the bikeways as they are.
When the bikeways, when it's fixed, it will be there.
So this is Santa Fe right here.
Santa Fe is up. That part of it is not included as part of the downtown mile. That was actually a planned foots trail that connected just north of the tracks and had its own bridge over Milton. Like that is probably less likely to happen at this point because it's not part of the downtown mile. So Santa Fe would be that first blue line. Yeah.
Except is this gonna happen right here?
Not with the downtown mile and not
Okay.
unless we find
So
millions of
this will be
dollars.
adjusted to be like this.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And even without it, you're like, that's fairly, local roads, lower traffic, lower volume, easier riding for sure to kind of make your way through a portion of that neighborhood to access the north side of Route 66 downtown.
I think at some point we'll have to, weigh our odds of that being completed and then decide if another route becomes our permanent route, if we keep that on our plans basically for the long term or not.
All right. Keep moving. This is a zoomed out version of what you just saw. All right. Next project is the J.W. Powell Boulevard Extension. This project has a budget of $45 million and the projected construction of FY 25 to 26. How do you feel about this time frame, Martin? Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure. It's this year, isn't it?
That would be this year. And yeah, there's tons of meetings that happen every day about this alignment, but I'm, give or take that FY 26.
This could be one that takes a long time and then goes fast.
Yeah, there's a lot of private property owners that have to be coordinated with and have a responsibility for fiscal contributions to the alignment and everything. So there's a lot to work through. But the project would extend existing JWP from its current terminus down, near the south end of Lone Tree. And it would work its way up through this, just through this land, up to the Butler Fourth future intersection roundabout upgrade that we were discussing earlier. Planned bike ped edge improvements along the corridor and trail considerations as well. Martin, do you want to dive into those? I gotta approve it again.
So purple, solid purple shows existing foot trails. And dashed purple are planned trails. And this area, just to give you, it's a little bit difficult map to read that.
Might be able to.
So the west end, this is Lone Tree Road.
Here.
Where it tees into J.W. Powell. And then the other end of it is the intersection of Butler and Fourth. So JWP will form that south leg, which now is called Dog Pound Road. I think that's a gravel road out to the Humane Society. So you can see I-17 kind of goes through diagonally here. So this is that area. This thing is like a little like driving a bumper car.
It's easier to look at your screen and not focus on that. Less janky.
So some of the primary foots are that this is a trail that in the bottom of the Bow and Arrow Wash. There's a 2-track road that goes there now. It's actually really popular and a really scenic canyon. It goes around the corner, this is part of the canyon of the Rio de Flag. And then what you see here, these are 3 different options for how we connect through those private parcels and get across John Wesley Powell future alignment. This is probably least likely to happen. It's more likely to be one of these two. And the orange squares represent undercrossings, like tunnels, basically. So the trail won't have to cross at grade on future JWP. And then it continues and goes out. The light green here is the Forest Service. And then kind of the squiggly line is the loop trail. So you get into Forest Service and you immediately connect to the single track trails that are in that area. This also happens to be the Arizona Trail. Arizona Trail's current alignment is this one. Our plan is to realign it to become this trail. And we've been working pretty closely with the Arizona Trail Association on, how that happens. But in the long term, this will be a much more interesting and pleasant alignment for the Arizona Trail, and also be a foots trail. So people who live in town who are going out to the forest will have a way to do that on a regular trail. And future residents in that area will be able to get back into town via a foots trail. It's kind of the idea. This trail that splits off, these are the loops in back of Little America. Mm-hmm. So this is the future Fox Glen Trail that uses part of that loop and then continues on all the way over to Fox Glen Park. And we're working on having that an underpass here as well, so the trail doesn't have to go across future JWP.
Two questions.
Sure.
Just real fast. This part of JW Powell, the foots trail, that's the sidewalk, not because there's in-road bike lanes on Powell too.
Yes.
And you're talking about sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then for these trails, would they be paved? Or would they be what kind of?
They would be aggregate trails,
Aggregate.
most likely, yeah, because they were not taking the place of the sidewalk.
Okay.
You can see here, this part of JWP is the future part. Mm-hmm. So it currently ends right here at the property line. So our thought is to take that foots trail up to this roundabout and then transition from a foots on one side and bike lanes on the street to separated bike lanes on both sides of the street.
Okay.
So we're still working, and that would be that situation all the way for the remainder of it.
Up to that intersection at Butler and Fourth. So from where you are now, all the way up.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But there's still a few details that need to be worked out
Got it.
for that. And it's probably worth mentioning somewhere where this is the Rio to Flag where this floodplain is. But somewhere in here, there's considerable interest in having a wildlife underpass as well. A lot of elk move through there. The Rio gets reclaimed water, and so that this part of it flows generally, not in the summer because a lot of reclaimed water is used, but in the winter it flows. And, it attracts wildlife. And plus, that Rio to Flag floodplain is a big meadow basically, and it also attracts wildlife.
Any other comments? All right, keep moving. Okay, the Rio de Flag flood control. This project has a budget of $122 million. Construction is anticipated between FY 25 and 30. This work will bury the Rio as it is currently aligned in multiple locations to help manage flooding, especially in more developed or urban areas of the city. This project will also extend the Karen Cooper Trail north of City Hall to Phoenix, and it will pave the Karen Cooper Trail a bit further beyond that. As far as burying the Rio is concerned, it's kind of interesting. It'll like outside of City Hall, for example, it'll largely follow its same alignment. However, they're going to excavate quite a bit and put a trench box with a cap on top of it that can handle like significant flooding events. But they through engineering are going to be able to allow some water to still be visible during those high flow events, just to maintain the character that the Rio de Flag contributes to the city, which I thought was pretty neat when I learned. But
Where are they gonna bury it?
I think along many points, I guess on this, Martin, would it be just whatever's outlined in these bolder colors is where the Rio will be buried?
Yes, it will, at Benito, it will go underground.
At Benito, okay.
Yeah. And then it will come back out, south of the tracks and east of San Francisco. Like Chris said, there'll be, kind of an aesthetic flow. So in significant storm events, there'll be, a small stream that flows like here, when it rains heavy, everybody runs off to the back to see if the Rio's flowing, and then we know it's a real storm. So that will be captured again, like we'll be able to go out and see water flowing through this smaller channel and heavy rains. And all the water won't be in the box.
And the lighter rains, that'll fill up first, actually, the small flow channel. Will get water first, and once it's full, it'll overflow into the box to handle the flood events.
And because that arrangement takes up a little bit less space than the current Rio does. So now that there's kind of a little greenway that goes through that neighborhood that includes the Rio and the Foots Trail. And if you've ever been on it, there's parts where the Rio and the Foots Trail are really the same. I'm thinking between Cherry and Sid Graves. And that trail gets washed out all the time. So this will give us a little bit more room, a chance to kind of make those crossings a little bit more manageable. Now they're a little bit tortured, like you cross and you follow a sidewalk and you go back down. They'll be a little bit more direct, and we'll be able to add bump outs at Aspen and Birch and Cherry and Sid Graves to kind of facilitate that crossing. When you get to Benito, the trail will cross Benito much like it does now, but where it crosses now, it goes to the north side of the Rio, down an embankment, and then the bottom of that is always wet. The trail is always muddy. When this project goes in, we'll cross the Rio at Benito, so that the trail will veer a little bit to the south. And then there'll be bump outs so it can cross Benito. And it'll cross Benito exactly where it's crossing the Rio. So it'll come out on the south side of the Rio, kind of stay higher, and then reconnect close to the log cabin. If that makes any sense. So it won't have to go down, cross the Rio, then come back up. It'll stay at grade and avoid the Rio altogether. Ironically, the Rio will probably fix that place that doesn't drain. So it could be crossable, but we'll take the foots out of it altogether. Also at that point, it will convert from concrete back to aggregate, and then remain aggregate like it is now, up to Cheshire.
All right, any additional comments? Keep moving.
Is there ever gonna be a bridge between the library and Wheeler Park again?
Funny you should ask.
So sad when that thing was taken down and then it was like, that's when I realized we didn't have unlimited money.
That was the first thing that made you realize. We are working on such a thing.
It'd be really nice.
In fact, can I tell a Shaggy Dog story? Just real quick. So we talked to a representative of the company that makes bridges, these kind of prefab bridges that would be perfect for that to go across. It's really, all we're going across is that aesthetic flow of the Rio. It's not like floodplain, and it's fairly manageable. So we met with a representative of the bridge company. She gave us some ideas and some direction and a quote for how much a bridge would cost. And we're standing out there and we're showing her, where we want the bridge and how we want it to work and where it connects and so on. And there was someone sitting on the bank on the library side, and he yelled out to us. I forget what he said first, but
He asked about if the bridge was ever going back in.
so there used to be a bridge here. We said, well, we might make that happen again. He goes, that'd be great. If you look there now, there's a trail.
Yeah, there's a trail there now.
Yeah. I mean, people are imagining a bridge and still crossing. Yeah, which is harder when the Rio flows to do that crossing. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
You need a PFD.
All right. Up next is the Beulah University Roundabout. Sure, we all have a level of familiarity with what's going on in this area. It has a budget of $24.3 million and a anticipated construction FY 23 through 25. It introduces, well, first it builds this new section, this extended section of Beulah, and has constructed separated bike lanes along the east and west sides. And then at each intersection leg crossing, there is it's a raised crosswalk. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to, drive this yet. The current like Milton traffic control routes you through, if you're heading south on Milton, it routes you through a portion of this. So yeah, the pretty interesting design with the raised crossings to make vehicles, pay.
Doubles as a speed bump.
Yeah, it makes you have more care, and also it provides a level of, visual separation between people who might be crossing it and the drivers who are lower up as they approach. It also creates this new road, which is pretty interesting. I'm forgetting what the name of it is. Do you recall? Fresca's
Was the property owner
Hmm.
where the roundabout is going.
Okay, there you go. And a key component for this group of this project is the Milton pedestrian underpass that's well under construction currently. And it will allow foot traffic, or you on your bike, to have, cross Milton east-west separated from motor vehicles. So I'm particularly excited about this one. It's on my bike to work route. I currently go up a big hill on campus, and this will eliminate that. So that'd be great. Any other comments?
there signals at the crosswalks? Are there RFBs or anything else, or are they just crosswalks?
This predated that requirement, so.
Did it?
And then this, actually raised crosswalks are one of the design options, so
Okay.
we would satisfy ADA via that.
So it's just the raised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you guys gotten a sneak peek of the tunnel in process?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, that same bridge representative that we met with worked for the company that fabricated what is getting lowered in to serve as the structure for the underpass. And she told us that she would give us the inside scoop on when they were actually going to, bring the crane in and lower the infrastructure into place. I think Carlton got to go and take a look at it.
Yeah, I caught him placing the last one, or the last one of that series, which is halfway across. And the other half will go in, but just dropping in big concrete arches.
Yeah, my 11-year-old would love to watch that.
You have a hard head? She have a hard head?
Yes, he does. Yes, she does.
Any other questions or comments related to this project? Right. Okay, that concludes section 1 of old business. So we can,
Just before we go on to the next one, just like real quick context. There's a question that came up last time about the two underpasses, and I think the group had asked for an update on what's happening with those. So we decided to, since we have new members and some of these things I think we haven't talked about for a while, just kind of give you an update on all these projects that are going on and kind of where we are with head bike accommodation with them.
No, these projects were decided on long ago, and you don't need any input from us on this. This is like already decided going in.
For the most part, yeah.
And there's projects that are happening in a decade that you need our help with now.
There will be, yes.
probably sooner.
There may, some of these projects are not fully baked. There may be aspects of them that we bring back to you just for your thoughts and input.
Okay. Excellent.
Speaking of projects where we seek your thoughts and input, this next section is about all of our grants projects that we have going on that you've heard about at various points in time. Yeah, just an update and review of where things stand related to those projects. First one is first mile, last mile. Martin, do you want to take this one here?
Sure.
Yeah.
This is a grant that was received by Mountain Line a few years ago, and the total is $7.2 million. Again, some of the longer serving members of BAC may remember this one. 5.4 of it is federal. Our local match is 1.8. And we've identified a handful of sidewalks, enhanced crossings and bikeways to fund. And the intent is to enhance ped and bike connectivity to transit. So we worked with Mountain Line to look at our priorities for missing ped and bike facilities and match them up to what they thought would be most useful for getting people to transit and transit stops. We're in the middle of design. We're currently at the 60% level. We're hoping to get to construction of some of the things by next year. And if you go to the next couple slides, we'll show you this map isn't completely up to date in that this is our original map, and some of these projects have fallen off the list already. Like the one on Fort Valley Road, for example, is a missing sidewalk. We're trying to find a different way to fund that one. It's the missing sidewalk on the east side of Fort Valley Road. So the red lines are missing sidewalks that we would build, and the blue dots are crossings. Of the crossings, many of these are not going to be built. Again, this is an older map, but we are looking at 3 crossings on Fort Valley Road. The most significant one is at Forest and Fort Valley, and that would be PHB crossing, and working with ADOT to make that happen.
PHP.
Pedestrian hybrid beacon. Yeah, it's the red flashing.
Okay,
lights.
got it.
So
The Huck. West 366 has one as you head off of Milton Road.
Okay,
We use two types of beacons. One is called a rapid flashing beacon, and it's the amber lights like at Butler and Humphreys, for example. So a pedestrian hits it and the lights flash rapidly. And it's not a traffic control device, but it is kind of a visual enhancement. Like it shows cars that there's a pedestrian crossing. Cars are required to yield to a pedestrian in a crosswalk anyway, so this doesn't change anything about that. A hawk or a PHB is the red flashing lights, and that is a traffic control device. So when the lights are steady red or flashing, you're required to stop. And the compliance for those types of devices is in the 90s versus compliance. Compliance at RFBs is better than no RFB
Right.
with cars yielding to pedestrians, but not in the 90%. So I'll show you the crossings. So the ones on Fort Valley Road, all of these on Solier are adjacent to bus stops, and we're thinking just a crossing island. So a place in the middle of the road that will help slow traffic and give pedestrians a place to cross to. And then the ones down on Lake Mary Road would be probably RFBs. And then there may be one on Cedar, which would also be a rectangular flashing beacon. And those are the places that we're looking at enhanced crossings. If you go to the next slide, that will show bikeways. These are mainly striping projects. Well, actually, they're all striping projects. But we're looking at finishing out intersections. So there are cases where bike lanes stop before you get to the intersection. For one reason or another, we're trying to finish the bike facilities, either as a shared lane marking or as a bike lane. So bicyclists feel like they're accommodated all the way through the intersection.
There's a walk on downtown.
Yeah, blue lines are where we would add bike lanes, and again, this is was our preliminary. Not all of these have survived to where we are now. Purple is where we would take existing bike lanes and convert them to buffers, to add buffers to them. And then orange is where we have a combination of shared lane markings and bike lanes. And then they're hard to see, but the gray corridors would be enhanced corridors. We would use more green paint, do cross bike markings, and a few other things to try to make a corridor that feels like it's more comfortable for cycling. You know, where as a cyclist, you feel like you're accommodated for the length of it.
Can you go back to the previous slide real quick? This is like right there at the top of San Francisco.
Yes.
It's awesome. So when the bicycle, he can't pedal anymore, he has a sidewalk to step up onto and walk his bike up the rest of the way.
Yes.
Good. Necessary. That is a steep hill. And then if you go to the next slide, what are all of these intersection enhancements downtown?
In a lot of cases, there are cross bike markings, so green skip striping through the intersection.
Oh, that's great. All right.
Unless we have a comment.
oh, well, it's just a general comment. So this is just updates of future projects. What's the timeline for future projects? Like the current projects seems like go through 26, 28. These are like after 28.
So all these grants will have different timeframes. Like this one has been around for a couple of years, so we're further along with it. But we'll tell you when the other ones are, when we think they're coming up, but they are in the future, and we don't necessarily have construction schedules for them yet, like we do for the other projects. Does that answer the question?
So just in the future sometime.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of these are also, we've come to BAC before and
Right.
requested, a letter of support. And then after we submit, hopefully we win, and there's just different stages of, you know, that we can
It's a
update.
process, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the purpose here.
Which takes a few years.
It takes many years.
Yeah. Well, here's one that should come along a little bit quicker. The Safe Streets for All Butler Avenue Complete Street Conversion Project. The city combined efforts with Metro Plan last year, and we put together a competitive application to rebuild Butler Avenue with complete streets facilities. That includes separated bike lanes and, pedways that parallel them. 3 protected intersections at Sawmill, San Francisco, and Beaver. There will be enhancements to the RFB that is at Humphreys and Butler, which will largely look like instead of the flashing beacons being on the left and right side of the lane, this will install a mast arm so that they're above, which is a bit more conspicuous for drivers. And it will also introduce a new enhanced crossing at O'Leary. Yeah, go ahead.
To go back, to the improvements at Butler and Humphreys, we're adding facilities for bikes to cross as well. Just for you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Just for you, Sam, and all the other cyclists in town.
And here you can see how this project interacts with the Lone Tree overpass.
Sorry, Chris, that Butler O'Leary one is meant to be a pet and bike crossing, so it's being designed to accommodate both.
So yeah, we were awarded our $9.6 million, which covers 80% of the project. As the city, we're responsible for paying the remaining 20%, which was 2.4 million. And then we ended up putting an application into a state program called AZ Smart, which is administered through ADOT, and they can award funds to help jurisdictions cover their local match of these grant applications. We applied for the entire $2.4 million, and we found out last month that we were awarded.
Well, it's a lot. Who's writing these grants? Someone's doing them.
Chris is.
They're both putting at each other.
No, we have a very well-rounded team, and we work with the MPO Metro Plan very closely on. They wrote this grant application, and we all contributed. This was a very big one, so we're excited about it. And this actually results in complete design and construction of a project, which is awesome.
What's our new most dangerous intersection going to be now that it's a lot of competition?
We're addressing them all.
No, this is
excellent. Yeah, we're very excited about this, and the grant agreement has already gone to City Council and was approved. It was kind of on hold because we were waiting to hear the results of the AZ Smart Award. And yeah, so now we're at a point where we can, get the ball rolling again and try and get a designer on board to finish the work. Right now it's at 15% design. And I think that we've taken a look at those plans before too, so.
I feel like I've seen that. What does 15% design mean though? What is it?
It's 15% of the way to 100%. 100% of the final result.
85% more.
With 85% to go.
Yeah, so early concept considerations, alignment, identification of conflicts, whether that's existing utilities that are going to have to be addressed and moved, right of way that would need to be acquired for the designs to go in place, or options around how we can work, around those different issues. And also a detailed cost estimate comes when so that's sort of like a concept level plan, and you will hear a lot more about those because they're pretty popular right now as far as our pursuit of them. So
It's kind of a winding stretch of road as it is.
Yeah.
Makes it a little challenging, I would assume.
yeah. We, as far as implementing our plan design with raised and separated bike lanes, it does, we didn't have as many conflicts as you would anticipate, really. There's a couple of areas where we'll have to select from a few options. There were only 2 recommendations for small slices of right of way that we could acquire if we choose to, really. One at San Francisco and one at Beaver, I believe. That's the latest on this one. Are there any other comments or? All right, moving along. Oh, well, here's more on it. This is the planned cross-section under ideal conditions. There are sections of the roadway where right-of-way is more constrained, so you'll lose this like 5-foot parkway section, but you'll still experience vertical separation as a cyclist from the roadway. So that's it. Comments? Keep moving. Right. Okay, next grants project, the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program. We applied for concept plans for the Santa Fe Milton Foots Bikeway. This was a fairly recent one. The grant application was for $509,000 to secure concept level plans for these 3 high priority projects as they're identified in the ATMP. The projects included are the Santa Fe Foots Trail Extension, which extends the Santa Fe Foots from its current, I guess where it currently ends, east towards downtown, to formulate that, of that primary bikeway, like square that we were talking about. It forms that western leg. Additionally, we would get concept level plans for the Milton Bikeway, which creates that south connection. And all the way up to the downtown connection center, and where that Rio project will build the underpasses to connect to the Karen Cooper. And the third component is the Milton Road Ped Bike Bridge, which would extend from the eastern end of this Santa Fe Foots Trail over Milton Road near the Jack in the Box. It would kind of go over the north side of the Jack in the Box from Malpai, from Malpai across to NAU campus.
That's only $500,000.
So this is for
Fifteen percent.
15% design, yes, yeah. But what's really important about these concept level plans is, first of all, they tell us about feasibility considerations, like, is this something that is worth the city continuing to pursue? Or where does it fall in our priorities list based on other projects? And also, those 15% design plans can be very useful if you're going to apply for a future grant to finish construction and build it. So that's where I think this has the most value. It's a really good, jumping off point for another grant application that could build it, like what's happening with Safe Streets for All.
It will tell us, like, we need to ask for $6 million.
Yeah.
Excellent. The number is, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, we are able, and another grant project that we'll talk about in a minute covers these 3 projects as well in vague terms, so that if this doesn't get awarded, hopefully that other one will. And if this does get awarded, that money can be pivoted to other projects. But yeah, so hopefully this will, one of these components or all of these components can be a future big grant application like the Butler Avenue one.
Does it look like you could build a bridge over Milton at the Jack in the Box? Does it look like
There would be some right of way to be acquired from the Jack in the Box parcel. But yeah, it looks like it.
It lands on the NAU side up pretty high.
Yeah.
You can picture that. And then you have the approach could be connected with some of the work that the flood control project is. So the Clay Avenue is going underground there too. There's a lot. That's on the west side. Team up with that and on the approach leg.
The bikeway itself could be on Milton, right? Because it's a state highway, so it parallels Milton.
Yeah, it never is like at grade with Milton Road as long as it goes. It's primarily I would say on NAU campus, as it's north of Reardon Ranch Road and like that Target area parking lot. And then you can kind of see, if, I mean, I know it's small, but where this little bump out, this is where you cross Milton and it connects with the underpass that's under construction right now. And then you use those separated facilities that are a part of the Beulah University roundabout, and you can head south on Beulah. And then there's more considerations as you head towards Lake Mary Road where it would ultimately terminate.
Okay.
Martin has thought through every step of this thing. I was blown away when I saw the level of detail that we had when we went to put this together.
Good work.
Good work.
It would be, significantly change the face of riding around Flagstaff. Think
Yeah.
about all the people coming from that direction,
Mhm.
which is really, really challenging now. Just,
Yeah.
Milton, the secret with Milton is like, we think of it as sort of a bad place to walk and bike along it, but what it really is hard to get across.
I said,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's its real.
well, if you had 3 tunnels
Function
on
is
one
a
bridge.
We're doing better, yeah.
Yeah, you're doing better.
Yeah, it's hard to get across that and the railroad tracks too, so you have like
Yeah.
that, this.
We're dealing with some real impediments here to getting around, yeah.
Yeah, and this whole grant program, it's there's not a ton of money in it. I think it's going to be pretty competitive, but we had a really good application. And it was all about creating key connections in your active transportation network. And you can see on this map, what's in gold is what would be created, and what else is there is what exists. So, there was plenty of very compelling arguments to be made. Yeah, I look forward to hearing back on this one.
That's awesome.
When do you hear back?
I would say latest December, hopefully sooner. Yeah, this was submitted last month. Any further discussion? All right. Here, we just lumped together some of the other ones that we have ongoing. This first one, it was a Safe Streets for All grant application, not for implementation, which builds something, but for supplemental planning, which plans things. This was a Metro Plan application. Yeah, so we partnered with Metro Plan for this. Safe Streets Master Plan. Ultimately, it is the city had approximately $500,000 to $600,000 budgeted to create its transportation master plan. And through this grant, we were able to leverage that money as the match for $2.4 million. So now we have more money to thoughtfully create our transportation master plan. This was one, a grant agreement is underway, and the work will largely be taking place pretty much right away. It starts with a series of interviews of all different, city, everybody who is going to impact in the city and and stakeholders. So it's going to be a longer process. I think we budgeted 4 years to spend all of the money, and there will be different checkpoints along the way. And I imagine there will be plenty of times where we come to BAC looking for input.
Please.
Yeah.
That could be a very significant project in terms of kind of setting direction for how we do transportation planning. And hopefully, like, head us in a better direction than we've done in the past, where, our primary consideration is how many cars do we think are going to use an intersection or a roadway in the future, and then building the intersection or the roadway to meet that. And hopefully this will give us a direction to use processes that are a little bit more well-rounded, account for ped and bike accommodation. Like to go back to the discussion we had on Volley Fourth, for example. Would have been helpful to have a process that prioritized ped and bike accommodation as one of the considerations for how that intersection gets built. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Where are we at in our agenda?
We are old business number 2. And I understand that we're, going a bit beyond 6 p.m.
Yeah, and I wanted to give Kevin a little bit of time. I know last time, Kevin, I kind of cut you off a little bit when you started to talk about the light timing and everything, and I said to
Yes.
circle.
Well, and everyone actually, so just a little personal note. I just got a new knee 2.5 weeks ago. So I'm not
Congratulations.
prepared to present at this meeting. So I'd like to postpone it to next meeting if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. And sorry, I just, but
No. How's the new knee doing?
going well. I can, as of a couple days ago, I can now drive a car, which is great. My hope is next month. Well, we'll see. I hope to be biking soon, but right now I can't. So.
Oh, you listen to your doctor on that one.
Exactly. So, but thanks everyone. I appreciate it.
So we're on number 4, bikeways plan, or was it a more under number?
No, this is, yeah, I guess section 4, number 2. And yeah, this is our last slide for this
Okay.
section, so we can work through this briefly and then decide how to move forward. Quick update on the Safe Streets for All. So we just submitted another grant application for supplemental planning, late last month, or yeah, very recently. Struggling to remember exactly when. But BAC provided a letter of support for this one, so thank you for that. This was for $1.7 million. And the goal is ultimately to amend the ATMP and create a new section to house concept planning and warrant analyses of various high priority projects that are outlined within the ATMP. We spent some time discussing it, so we don't have to go into too great of detail. But ultimately, this would be a great launch pad for future grant applications, and also for us to, help begin to understand how we're going to pursue these projects further, because they give us a lot of good details. Yeah, that was submitted. Hopefully we'll hear back. It could be as early as next month. I feel like this type moves a little bit quicker from what I've seen, but it could also be December, so.
Our intel tells us that we have a really good chance of getting this grant. They're looking for applications that have way more money than they have.
So if we don't get it, I'm not writing another letter.
Wow, fair enough. It's a lot of pressure, Dan. Thank you. Yeah, no, there was, I don't want to, if we don't get it, that would be unfortunate, but there was $1.2 billion available of funding, and you can't apply for more than 10 million for this specific type. We applied for 1.7, and I think it was competitive, so. Yeah, that's the update on that, and Carlton is the expert on this last one, so we'll pass it to him.
Doing the Safe Routes to School effort. This was a grant that Metro Plan got. We just get to tag along on it. Our role, for the most part, will be that middle 500,000 to do all kinds of design stuff around Knowles, and then the cluster of schools at like Mount Eldon Middle School, all the way over to Coconino High School, and down to the elementary school on 6th even too. So that area might have some potential. We wrote in the request for qualification, so that's where it's at in the world of that's about to go out in a week or so. Then we'll get a firm on board and start diving in towards probably just towards 30% plans, which will then set us up to start chasing other grants from there once you get that. But that 4th Cedar area, we put in the RFQ that let's think through some bold ideas so we could have some fun stuff. Along with it, Mountain Line is what they really want is a left turn from Pine Cliff onto Forest near Basis School. So right now the traffic and the grades don't let that happen very easily. But that's gonna be their role, is that's what they want, but maybe there's some other option that allows them to create that route permanently where they go right by Basis and the new school. There's another school moving there too. It's just design stuff though too.
My kid just started at Kanawha Middle School, and he takes the bus from the downtown transfer station to the stop in Kanawha and back home every day. And there's a lot of kids that do it. There's a lot of kids that ride the mountain line to work or to school. I didn't know that.
Your son, you said,
Yeah.
he gets off at the stop that I get on at right across from the Maverick.
Yes.
There's always lots of kids that get off when the bus comes
Yeah.
from the other direction.
I didn't realize that. I thought I was being unique and
A lot of kids ride the route basis too, to your point, because I used to take that bus and it's always kids.
the way Estella made it sound, or made it sound like it was a bunch of opposition to that. It seems like it's pretty well embraced. But I don't know, maybe there could be more.
One kind of closing thought, maybe to wrap up this grant section. So the federal grant trough is full at the moment in a way that is just unprecedented. And really, and for transportation projects that are really looking for two things, active transportation and equity. And we, have a lot of projects that meet that criteria. So it's never been like this before. There's never been this much money available through grant. So while that trough is full, we need to eat it as long as we can. The challenge has been that, like, it's really, really easy. I think you can kind of tell from the flavor of these grants. It's really, really easy to get planning and design money. It's more challenging to get construction dollars. I mean, we were fortunate to get that first round of Safe Streets for All for Butler Avenue for almost $10 million. Hopefully that this trough will stay. Is that an unfortunate analogy? Sorry, whatever.
Ah, I like it.
Oh,
Let's eat.
hopefully that will, that will continue to be a lot of grant money available for these projects, and we'll be, once we get through some concept planning, we'll be competitive to apply for more construction dollars. To get some of the projects that we talked about are, clearly big ticket items, and we don't have the funding to pay for them. So we're going to be relying on grants to do that at some point in the future.
Well, I would think having an ATMP in place as much work as we've done on that document, I would think having that in place would help us.
It's
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our qualifying action plan for, to apply for all of this stuff. You
Yeah,
need to have this.
yeah, like,
We need to have a plan in place to get construction dollars for Butler Avenue. If we had not had the plan in place, we would have had to apply for planning money to get a plan.
To make a plan.
And then you apply for
But we had the
construction.
plan.
So we kind of beat that.
Yeah, like I just heard the Buckeye, Arizona. They now have like 110,000 people. I don't know that they have an ATMP.
Okay.
And I don't know that they're even worried about it too much.
I was gonna say, I think they need one.
Yeah, yeah.
We can skip the next two items. There's really nothing pressing. If I could just do really quick three reports. We have a league cycling instructor seminar coming up in October. And we're getting ready for this. This is a weekend class that certifies people to be bicycle instructors, safety instructors, basically. And Chris has signed up. Carlton has signed up for it. Skipping down to D, the regional plan is moving forward. They want to be on our agenda sometime this fall, winter, so October, November, maybe December. And then finally, F, we are in the process of doing an inventory of the condition of our asphalt trails, which are generally have a lot of cracks. We have some money set aside. We've engaged an engineer and asphalt expert to help us decide what the answer is. We we hope that there's a way to fix these trails and that could be done relatively quickly to kind of get them back to rideable condition. A lot of them have so many cracks that they're, I think, an impediment to bicycling if you want to use them. Really, it's gotten to that point.
I remember.
She
the
shakes
other
her head
thing-
vigorously.
No, because I remember, they really are. I remember the other thing, which was that someone asked me to tell this group, could you please fix the Route 66 foots that has that giant hole, which I think is actually an asphalt section. Do you know
Oh,
what
yeah,
I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
That's just been getting bigger.
Yeah, that one's gonna be replaced with the Lone Tree overpass. We have to decide if we fix that or wait for the overpass.
Got it.
In the meantime, the trail doesn't get
In the
better.
meantime, you both directions of traffic get funneled, so you're just playing chicken with the other cyclist.
Yeah,
Right at that hole.
I know exactly which one you mean.
Mhm.
All right. Looks like we've reached the end of the agenda for today.
Yes, we didn't make our 6 o'clock, but that was always a pipe dream. Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you, everybody who joined us. Thank you. We didn't catch your name. Do we need to get his name?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Richard Young.
Yeah.
Richard,
Yeah.
you've attended before, but,
We spoke over Zoom or
okay.
a year ago, but yeah.
Yeah, anything you want to add?
I mean, it's a lot better than I was expecting.
All right.
So, but yeah, I specifically thought of a section with the asphalt thing. The underpass, I-40 from University Heights going up to Boulder Point, like that immediately comes to mind. So I'm glad that that sort of trail condition will be addressed. But yeah, I'd like to see the beginning part of the presentation, like obviously not part of this.
We'll start over. Let's start from the beginning. No, thank you for coming, Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
Do I just call it?
Yeah, I think you don't need a motion. I think we just.
Okay, going once, going twice, going 3 times.
Adjourned by consensus.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Kevin.
Feel
Appreciate
fast.
Good luck in physical therapy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Yep. See you guys next month.
Valley.
See you, Valerie.
Yeah, that trail's awful. I hate that one.
Yeah.
Like thunk, thunk.
That was the one that drew the attention for
Yeah.
there was the inspiration.
Fort Valley, like, yeah, past the museum.
Valley Road.
Yeah.
As you head up towards.
Yeah. Exactly, towards the museum or past the school,
So
which school.
yeah, we have a little bit more than 8 miles of asphalt trails.
Okay.
And we had an internal pool about we had an intern who inventoried all the cracks. And so we had an internal pool, how many cracks were we gonna end up having?
What's the answer?
I think I'm gonna win because it's right about 800.
800. Yeah.
Wait. What did other people bet?
1,200.
The presentation available online. Do we post presentations, Martin?
Yes, check back probably late tomorrow morning. The whole recording will be available on the city's YouTube channel. You have my contact? I'll get you a copy.
Email, yeah.
Okay,